I'm Ian Deary. I'm Professor of Differential Psychology at the University of Edinburgh. I direct the MRC administered Centre for Cognitive Ageing and Cognitive Epidemiology. I'm the principal investigator on the 6-day sample study, but I have a very good research team of people at the University of Edinburgh, some from universities in London and also from St Andrews as well. The 6-day sample, or Scotland in miniature, are all born in 1936. Now, in Scotland, if you were born in 1936, almost everybody took part in the Scottish Mental Survey of 1947. That tested almost everybody born in 1936, gave them a mental ability test when they were aged about 11, and there were over 70,000 people. That's a big sample. However, there was a jewel in the crown of that sample, and they were called the 6-day sample because they took the individuals who were born on the 1st of February, April, June, August, October and December of 1936, and they called them the 6-day sample, or Scotland in miniature. Now, they were from all over Scotland because they were just chosen on the basis of these 6 birthdays, and they followed them up from age 11 until age 27. And what they looked at over that time was, well, they did more detailed testing of their mental or cognitive capabilities. They looked at their homes, their health, they looked at their social background. They followed them to see what education they took, what jobs they went into, what interests they have, and they also spoke to their parents and their teachers early on as well. In fact, the 6-day sample, or Scotland in miniature, has got more information about youth and childhood than almost any other sample that I know of. Now, the sad thing was they were going to follow them up for the rest of their lives, but they stopped at age 27. And so the 6-day sample hasn't been contacted for 50 years, not since the early 1960s. And so what we're taking on in this project is trying to find them all again to see who's alive, where they are and how they're doing. Now, I appreciate that the individuals in the 6-day sample, Scotland in miniature, haven't actually taken part in this study since their late 20s. And so I hope it's going to be a surprise and a pleasure that they're contacted again after all this time. And I hope that as many of them as possible will actually take part in the study. Now, of course, one can't contact people directly. First of all, we don't know where they are. And secondly, we have to get ethical permission to do it properly. And doing it properly means going via the Registrar General for Scotland, who will find out on the basis of the childhood information where they're likely to be living now, if they're still alive, and they will pass on information from the study's research group. Now, what that information is will actually come in the form of a mailed box, and that box will have in it various goodies, I hope they will see it as, in order that they can help us tell us how they're doing now. So in that will be a letter from me and the Registrar General explaining the study, explaining how important it is and how important the 6-day sample was in its time as well, and how it can contribute now to lifelong health and well-being. They'll have a questionnaire. That questionnaire, and I've put close instructions in there telling them that they can take as long as they like to fill it out. We'll do things like ask them about their family, their children, their parents, their background, their education, their jobs during their careers as well, and their health, their feelings, and how well they're doing just now too. Also in the box will be 1 or 2 things that will help them test their fitness. So we'll actually ask them to test their lung fitness and the strength of their muscles, and also do simple things like measure their height and their weight as well. And we also ask for a few samples of saliva to be sent, so we can look at things like how much hormone they're producing, called cortisol, and also the state of their DNA as well. These data are going to be unusual. The richness of the data from childhood about things like home background, simple things about health, cognitive function and personality, I can't think of another study that's going to be able to link these things to health, well-being and other important aspects of people's life when they're in their 70s. In other words, we're going to be spanning most of the human life course in linking these together. And so in this sample, I think we're going to be providing unique information about the human life course and health and well-being in older age. I hope when they do it, the people in the 6-day sample themselves will find it interesting. And of course, I realise as well that in many of the studies that we do that involve older people, they're basically very altruistic. They appreciate that a lot of the findings we're going to discover will help the next generations as well. Because in the United Kingdom, including Scotland, of course, there's a great appreciation that the the country is getting older on average. There are more older people, people are living longer, and we want to understand more the issues of people getting older, including things like strengthening their cognitive functions and their health as far as possible. So the impacts, I think, will be subsequent to this study, and I think the interest will be from pretty much everybody who's involved in this. We'd hope to interest people like NHS Health Scotland, the Scottish Government, that have really got older people's welfare at heart. The study is being funded by the United Kingdom Research Council's Lifelong Health and Wellbeing Initiative, and in my opinion, it's an ideal study for that organisation. This is the United Kingdom's Research Council's getting together and recognising the fact that if we want to understand people's health and well-being in older age, you need to know a lot about their life course, that is, how they were when they were young and when they were middle-aged as well. And I think it's a really good study for them because we have a group of individuals who have a lot of information on childhood, they have a lot of information from when they were young adults, and we also know that they're representative of the whole of Scotland. They weren't picked for any particular reason. And so if we can follow them up now and fill in the gaps between childhood and old age and collect a lot of information about old age, I think we can truly do a lifelong health and well-being study.